Hello, and a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to today's Postgrad webinar service. We're joined by Heriot-Watt University, who have campuses in UK, Dubai, Malaysia, and today we're going to be hearing about mathematics. Really exciting, really popular as well. It's definitely on the rise, in particular in UK learning as well. Before I do hand you over to Des and the team as well, reminder today's session. It is live. It's the 13th of May 2026. If you hear anything at all that is date sensitive, please factor that in. It might be that you're watching on YouTube, on our social media channels, on our website in the future. So please factor that in a little bit. Obviously, everything you'll hear today will be aimed towards September 2026 recruitment, but most of it I'd imagine will be applicable for September 2027. Also, if you do have any questions, we do have a chat and a Q&A facility at the top or bottom of your screen. Please say where you're from, say hi. Please pop in the Q&A what your questions are, what your concerns are, what your issues are. I'd be more than happy to try and answer them at the very end with Des and Michaela and Card, the student that we've got on also. And if you are watching on social media today, pop it in the messenger facility also. But for now, Des, I'll hand over to you. I'll be back for the Q&A towards the end. And yeah, if you've got any questions, please pop it in that Q&A box.
Thanks very much for the kind introduction, Gareth. I'm Professor Des Johnston from Mathematics at Heriot-Watt University. And in the webinar today, we're going to be talking about the Masters MSc programs, specifically at the Edinburgh campus at Heriot-Watt University. Just to give you an impression of what you're letting yourselves in for, there'll be three of us speaking this morning. I'm going to do a general introduction to the Masters courses and also say a little bit about Heriot-Watt University itself. Then Michaela is going to talk a little bit about research at Heriot-Watt University. And finally, maybe the most useful bit, we've got a real live MSc student, Kyle, who's going to tell you a little bit about the experience of actually being on one of these master's courses. So, first up, I'll tell you about the MSc courses and then a little bit about Heriot-Watt University itself. Michaela, I'll then follow on from me and tell you something about mathematics research in the maths department. And finally, Kyle will tell you about the experience of being on the master's courses. An overview. These are the various mathematics master's courses that we offer in Edinburgh. There's an MSc in mathematics. There's an MSc in applied mathematical sciences. There's also a 2-year program. Now that's intended for people whose mathematics may not be quite up to doing a master's course directly. So the idea is that in the first year of that course, you'll fill in some of the mathematical background that you might be missing if you're coming from a different subject. And then you'd go on and in effect do the 1-year master's course after that. We've got an MSc in computational mathematics and data analysis. We've got an MSc in mathematical biology, ecology, and medicine. And if I'm not wrong, I think that's the one that Kyle's doing, so he can tell you a little bit about that. And we've got an MSc in applied mathematical sciences with climate and environmental modelling as well. The general structure of all of these courses is similar. What's different is the particular optional courses that you do on each one of these different programs. So to give you an idea of what studying on one of these master's courses looks like, here's the different courses that it's possible to take in the MSc in Applied Mathematical Sciences. There's very little in this that's mandatory, stuff that you have to do. There are numerous optional courses that you can choose according to your interests and what you want to do afterwards. And the structure is a 3-semester structure for these master's courses. Semester 1 and Semester 2 follow the undergraduate semester times at Heriot-Watt University. So Semester 1's September to December, Semester 2 is January to April. And these are when you would do the taught courses in the master's programme. So that's the same sort of schedule as the undergraduate taught courses at the university. And then over the summer, May to July, there's a dissertation. So that is an add-on for the master's courses. So it's a 3-semester structure. You'll be finishing towards the end of July, beginning of August. you'd be starting in September. And for the Applied Mathematical Science MSc, these are the different courses that you would be allowed to choose from to study. The timetable for studying these. Now, this looks a little bit scary. Don't be frightened off by this. It's 9 to 6 teaching timetable during the semesters. Wednesday afternoons are free, and things aren't quite as dense as they look in this timetable because it's showing all of the different possible courses that you could do. What you do is study 4 of these courses per semester. And for each course, there's typically around about, I'd say, 4 contact hours per week. This might be 2 or 3 lectures, 1 tutorial or examples class, or maybe a computer lab, depending on the programming content of the course. And the lecturers for the courses also offer office hours for each of the courses. So there's a chance to ask questions of the lecturers, as well as learning stuff in a more formal environment in the lectures themselves. The students would be studying, you would be studying 4 courses per semester, and each course carries 15 credits under the Scottish Credit and Qualifications Framework Scheme. So overall, to get the degree at the end, you'd need 120 credits. That's 4 courses in each of the 2 semesters, and the dissertation itself that you'd be doing over the summer. The taught courses are assessed usually with some sort of in-semester coursework or test and an exam at the end. So much like undergraduate courses, though some of them are assessed entirely by coursework, stuff that's more programming based, for instance. There may be some group projects involved in the different courses and group presentations. And for the undergraduate dissertation that you do during the summer, you'd be working with a supervisor on a particular research problem or a literature review. You'd write a dissertation for that, and then there'd be a viva assessing what you'd done at the end of that during the summer months. So again, 3 semester structure. There's 2 taught course semesters, semester 1 and 2, with 4 courses in each of those semesters. And then the summer, the interesting bit perhaps, is when you're doing a research dissertation. And there's a chance to write a dissertation at the end of that. So you'll be trained in scientific writing as part of this process as well. Entry requirements. How do you get in? We want folk who've got mathematical background, knowledge and skills. So we're asking for a good honours degree in mathematics or statistics. And what we ask for is that folk should have 60% or thereabouts or more in their maths subjects, and they should have taken at least 4 of the following courses to have a sufficient background. So linear algebra, real analysis, calculus, probability, statistics, ordinary differential equations or partial differential equations, some sort of numerical analysis course, scientific computing or programming, data science or machine learning courses. And if you're applying from outside the United Kingdom, we ask that non-native English speakers should have IELTS of 6.5 or equivalent as an entry requirement. All of the courses are taught in English. The bad news, the fees. So for September 2026 intake, the tuition fees are for UK students full-time, 10,864 Great British pounds, or part-time, if you're taking the degree over, say, a couple of years, 5,432 pounds. International students are roughly twice that. So full-time international student is 20,456 pounds, and a corresponding reduction for taking the courses part-time as well. That's the hard facts about the master's courses at Heriot-Watt University. Let me say a few words about the university itself. And Michaela is going to talk in just a minute about the research in the department. The teaching is research-led. So we're telling you in many of the courses about mathematical topics and subjects that we're doing research in the department. Stuff like mathematical biology and ecology are large research areas in the maths department at Heriot-Watt. Heriot-Watt has got a strong mathematical provision. There's a maths gym. We provide additional mathematical help both to mathematics students and students throughout the university in their mathematics problems. We've got a large research building. There's a nice picture of it at the top there, the grid. And Michaela will say a few words as well about PhD positions in mathematics. One of the career paths that our students follow after doing the master's courses is to continue in research in mathematics in either Heriot-Watt or other universities doing PhDs. We've got a very strong collaboration with the University of Edinburgh, both at the research and at the undergraduate level. We co-supervise PhD students. And the university itself has got excellent campus facilities. The National Scottish Sports Performance Centre, ORIAM, is based at Heriot-Watt University. So there are excellent sports facilities on the campus. And of course, Edinburgh is a great place to live. I came here 35 years ago, never intending to stay myself, and I've been stuck ever since. I can recommend it. Where would you end up after finishing a master's course? We've got a lot of graduates who have gone on directly to the world of work. Automotive industry, aerospace engineering, electrical engineering, robotics is a big theme at Heriot-Watt University. We've had some graduates go to work in robotics. Others have veered off into physics, chemistry, and biology. Climate science. The Lyell Centre is based at Heriot-Watt University and does work in climate science. Data science and AI. We've had students who've gone on to work in the National Health Service and other areas of medicine, ones who've gone to work in logistics. And of course, banks and finance are large employers in Edinburgh as well. Insurance too. And research and teaching. We've got some who've gone on to teaching degrees and others who've gone on to study PhDs as well afterwards. So the career paths aren't necessarily linear in mathematics. You've got undergraduate study as a BSc. Folk come to study master's courses such as the ones that we're talking about today. They could go on to do PhDs, postdocs, and academic jobs, or they could get jobs in industry, finance, or industrial research, or teaching and the civil service. So we've had numerous different sorts of career destinations for our master's graduates from these courses. Contact details. For applying for the courses and asking for more details, the program director for our master's courses is Stefan Kloos, and his email's here. You'll be able to pick it up after the webinar as well. We live in the Colin McLaurin building at Heriot-Watt University, and there's a link down there at the bottom to information for students on the courses as well. Just to finish my little section here, I want to say a few words about Heriot-Watt University itself. So we've been around for a fair while, even though it wasn't constituted as a university until the 1960s. The foundational year for the college was 1821 as the Edinburgh School of Arts, and it was the world's first mechanics institute. It was intended to teach apprentices and people working in industry the necessary mathematical skills and skills in other sciences that they needed for their jobs. We're based in Edinburgh, though of course we're a global institution. We've got campuses in Dubai and Malaysia and numerous multinational partnerships as well. So there's a nice picture of the centre of Edinburgh. The Heriot-Watt campus is half an hour, 45 minutes on a bad day on the bus from the centre of Edinburgh, or a similar distance cycling, which is how I get to work from where I live in Edinburgh. Where are we? Scotland. So we're in the north of the United Kingdom there. And Scotland is almost cloudless, unusually, in that picture. At the minute, it's cloudless as well. We've got blue skies. We've got campuses in Dubai and Malaysia. But the courses I've been talking about today are at the Riccarton campus in Edinburgh. So I think I've said enough. I'll finish sharing my screen here and I'll pass over to Michaela, who's going to tell you a little bit about the research at Heriot-Watt University. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you everyone for being here today. I've seen that you have introduced yourselves, so I'm going to introduce myself. I am Michela Ottobri, and I am a professor of mathematics in the mathematics department in the same campus in which DES is based, so in the Edinburgh campus. So DES has talked to you about the structure of our MSc and a little bit about the history of Heriot-Watt. I will talk more about the research that we do in the mathematics department. So as Des said, our teaching is research-led. So the topics of our courses are intimately related to what we actually do research on. And so I will talk a little bit about that. But before that, I would like to talk about a little bit who we are. So Heriot-Watt is truly a world-leading research center in mathematics. And I would like to give you some statistics to get you an idea of who we are. So together with the University of Edinburgh, we combine and we form the Maxwell Institute, and jointly the Maxwell Institute is first in Scotland and third in the UK. This is according to the Times Higher Education. Now, mathematics, specifically mathematics at Heriot-Watt, is second in Scotland and fifth in the UK. There is another statistic which is probably the most important, arguably, because it is the official statistics collected by the government. 86.8, so approximately 87% of our research has been assessed to be world-leading. And finally, in the students' perspective, so how do the students see us? In the National Student Survey, we are second in Scotland. So the first two statistics relate to Times Higher Education, Times and Sunday Times, Good University Guide, whereas the last two, this one is the official statistics and this one is the student point of view. However you look at it, we position extremely strongly. So now let me talk to you about our research environment and why we are so strong. So we have the maths department and we have the partnership with the University of Edinburgh, but we are also uniquely positioned in many, many ways. We are very lucky that we actually host the International Center for Mathematical Sciences, the ICMS. The ICMS is one of the only 3 mathematical infrastructures in the UK, the other 2 being Warwick and Cambridge. So let me explain what I mean by mathematical infrastructures. So there are, of course, mathematics departments all over in the UK, but my mathematical infrastructure is something particularly unique. In our case, it is the National Conference Center for Mathematics, and so we have a continuous flow of world-leading mathematicians visiting Edinburgh for the workshops that we organize or the others organize at the International Center for Mathematical Sciences. So we attract a continuous traffic of mathematicians here, and that's amazing also for you, because MSc students can go and attend the ICMS workshops. We have a very large postgraduate community, probably one of the largest in the UK, and a very active PhD program. And you can read more on our website about our postgraduate courses, but these are basically jointly with University of Edinburgh. Finally, we actually have another unique mathematical infrastructure, which is MDICE, the Mathematics Driven Innovation Center. We started this in November 2024. What is it there for? This is particularly relevant to MSc students in applied mathematics. MDICE enables translation of science from the academic world to the industrial world. And so MDICE, what it does, it has some dedicated researchers that I would say they don't do research in the conventional sense. but they are there to deploy research into the real world and produce impact. And this is truly something almost unique to us. There is, again, only another 2 places that have something similar, one being Bath and the other one Cambridge. So again, we are at the cutting edge also in this respect. Now, I wanted to say a little bit about me, just to give you an idea of my background. So I studied in Rome as an undergraduate student. Then I did my PhD in the UK at Imperial College, and I got it in 2012. Then I was at Warwick briefly. Then I got a fellowship at Imperial College, so I was there briefly. And then I came to Heriot-Watt in 2014, and I am currently a professor of mathematics here. What's my research? So for a very long part of my career, I've been working on stochastic analysis, and I still to this day do stochastic analysis. But a couple of years ago, I diverted some of my research activities towards mathematical ecology. In particular, I'm interested in rewilding and in climate change. And so at the moment, my work is half of the time in stochastic analysis, another half of the time in mathematical ecology. And I will come back on this, but I think that really this is an exciting time, the decade and probably the decades to come in which we live. This is really an exciting time to be an applied mathematician, because being an applied mathematician allows for a lot of flexibility in what you work on. And if anything, my career path is proof of it. I started from something very, very pure, and I'm now working on something rather applied. In 2019, I was awarded the Whittaker Prize of the Edinburgh Mathematical Society for my contributions to stochastic analysis. And a part of the job of a mathematician is actually to serve the mathematical community. And so, like any other mathematician, I serve the mathematical community in many ways. I am in national panels for awards of prizes, of research funds. I am a very active member of the European Mathematical Society, and I contribute to the Mathematical Society at large in many ways. And this is one of the rewarding parts of the job of a mathematician, which probably many people are not aware of until they become mathematicians. But there is a large community out there that needs to be sustained, and so we all chip in. So now let me come to the research we do. Of course, I will not be able to tell you exactly to talk about everything we work on, but I want to give you a flavor. And especially, I really hope that through the array of things that I will show you, that you will get an idea that mathematics is truly essential to tackle the challenges of our times. And again, I really think this is an exciting time to be an applied mathematician. And I hope that I will give you an idea of why that is true. Mathematics doesn't come just with technical tools, but there is a very exciting backyard of many things that you can do with mathematics. And I would say that this idea is at the core of our MSc in applied mathematics. In particular, to give you an idea of how I'm going to organize things, I'm going to try and relate your MSc curriculum, which is what Des presented, with our research activities in applied mathematics and how these two things influence your career after your MSc. And these 3 blocks are very much intertwined. Okay, so what are the 3 building blocks of what we would like you to learn, and in fact of our research as applied mathematicians? Modeling, analysis, and simulation and computation. So whichever phenomenon, if you want to understand it somehow, you have to describe it. And the two things, there is a feedback between describing and understanding. So we start with the modeling. And then once you have a model to describe whichever phenomenon, you want to make a prediction on the basis of the model. And so there come analysis and simulation and computation. Often these models are analytically intractable, and analysis can give a lot of insight, but the combination of analysis and simulation, I would really say that is at the core of applied mathematics. You cannot trust a simulation per se. And again, analysis sometimes can only go so far, but the combination of the two is extremely powerful. And I would like you to bear in mind that this is true of all the problems that I'm about to start going through. So a large chunk of our research is in fluid dynamics, and in particular data-driven fluid, in particular, but not only, data-driven fluid dynamics. For example, so fluid dynamics is really ubiquitous. For example, if you want to look at aerodynamic efficiency, that's where you need to model and simulate fluid flow to improve the aerodynamic efficiency of your vehicle. Equally, in climate science, you need to simulate atmospheric flows, ocean flows, and that's where really fluid dynamics has an extremely powerful role. There are also places that you would suspect a little bit less. The study of vortex-dominated flows is about understanding, for example, is used very much in the study of the motion of seeds. So you might think this is a dandelion. You might think, why do I care about the motion of seeds? Well, it's interesting per se, but it turns out that the motion of seeds has inspired the design of the first manned aircraft. Another area where we have a solid group and we feel strong is mathematical biology and mathematical ecology. And we have people working on pattern formation, on conservation. I will say more about this, but let me say a little bit about pattern formation. So here I have a zebra, and here I have vegetation patterns. It turns out that the equations that govern that describe vegetation patterns and the equations that describe the way in which the zebra, the patterns on the coats of zebras are described, they are pretty much the same. And mathematically speaking, you can abstract this in the theory of PDEs, which are truly very powerful modeling tools, and that describe really not just this sort of patterns, but they are at the core of, for example, describing collective motion in animals and other things, which I will come to. Some of us are very interested in conservation. So here I'm giving an example of red squirrel conservation because one of our professors here, Andy White, has been extremely involved with the problem of red squirrel conservation with collaborations with Forestry and Land Scotland, with the Scottish Wildlife Trust. But this is just an example. In general, we have quite a few people working in conservation. So how does this relate to your courses, coming to the relationship between research and your MSc? We have courses on mathematical modeling, in ecology and biology, modeling and simulation, in PDEs, and blah, blah, blah. Now, you remember when I told you pattern formation? So there are various patterns in nature. And I think you will recognize here, this is fish schooling. There is also bird flocking and any herding phenomenon. So all these phenomena are studied in what's called complexity science, which is the study of consensus formation. Substantially, we have a large system of interacting agents. I'm calling them agents because it could be fish, cows, birds, whatever you like. It could be robots, in fact. You have a large system of interacting agents, and when you have many, many agents and they interact with each other, they tend to form coordinating motion. We do this. Imagine when you have a big crowd. If you've ever seen what happens on the pavement, we start coordinating and going in some direction, hopefully. So these are called interacting particle systems. It turns out that the study of interacting particle system is also very much core for understanding neural networks and a lot of AI science at the moment. So what does that require? It requires tools from PDEs, ODEs, stochastic differential equations. So it's really a combination of a lot of important mathematical theories. More on mathematical ecology, some of us are very, very interested also in the modeling of plant growth, which again is done by means of partial differential equations. Last but not least, machine learning and artificial intelligence, which at the moment are ubiquitous. We have a very large group in imaging. What do people in imaging do? They do image reconstruction, classification, segmentation, etc. And in particular, in our department, they do applications to medical or astronomical imaging, but more broadly in the university, also other applications. So for example, applications in medical imaging, here I've added this picture, one might be interested in given an image and given the, I don't know if you can see, but given that there are these spots, is there, for example, a tumor, a cancerous cell? So how do I recognize whether here I have a cancerous cell or not? The other place where machine learning and artificial intelligence are really key is robotics. In general, the study of autonomous systems. There, I would really say that AI is the fuel of robotics. And so mathematics really comes in a very powerful way. So Heriot-Watt hosts the National Robotarium, which is a unique, this one is a truly unique structure in the UK. There is no other place in the UK like the National Robotarium. It hosts a large variety of robotics labs with all sorts of robots you can think of. It's an exciting place. And here mathematics is truly key because you want to give theoretical guarantees on whether these robots are safe or not. And that's where mathematics comes in. And if a robot is not safe, it cannot be deployed. It cannot be used for commercial purposes. So mathematics here truly has, and statistics really have a strong role. So at the basis of this, there is, again, algorithm development, so optimization, stochastic computing, and so on and so forth. So here we offer courses on statistical methods, artificial intelligence, data simulation, Bayesian inference, and uncertainty quantification methods. So I have mentioned the underpinning mathematics throughout, but I wanted to have a slide for recap. So optimization is extremely important. Whenever you want to talk about AI, optimization is really core. Every AI algorithm has at least a step in which there is a fundamental step in which optimization is involved. Optimization is also used in the study of design of materials and everywhere else, but in AI, it's definitely, it's really not optional. Functional analysis, PDE theory, ordinary differential equations or stochastic differential equations, and again, numerical and sampling methods, which allow accurate simulations of models. Finally, so these are, if you want, what I've talked about so far is our research, and I've related it to the specific content of your courses, to the technical content you will learn. But there is, like also that said, there is definitely a broader skill set that is essential in research and industry. Presentation skills, which you will practice, for example, through your Viva for your MSc thesis. You will get chances to work in group, a lot of writing technical content, and programming skills. And I'll close it here. And I'll pass it on to Kyle, who is one of our students.
Hi, as I said, I'm Kyle. I'm one of the MSc students at Heriot-Watt here. Particularly, I'm on the Mathematical Biology, Ecology and Medicine program. I actually done my undergrad here at Heriot-Watt as well. I done my undergrad in Mathematical, Statistical and Actuarial Science. But I sort of fell out of love with the actuary part, and it fell in love with the research and mathematical biology. That's sort of how I came about to my MSc, should I say. And I sort of came back to Heriot-Watt because I loved the experience when in my undergrad so much, and that's why I sort of came back. The support that the staff gives you here is very, very good. I have never struggled to approach any sort of lecturers or other math staff that are in the department about questions about the courses, about the coursework, about anything else that you might be worried about. In particular, a lot of the times you can ask them any sort of questions, whether it's in sort of just after the lecture, after a tutorial, if it's an office hour. A lot of them are very open for you just to send them an email. They might even arrange a little meeting for you. They're very supportive in that way. And another way that they're quite supportive is that they actually arrange a pizza lunch every semester, I believe, which is, I found, a very great way to be able to speak to your lecturers more casually rather than sort of feeling a bit like you can have to approach them in a formal setting, maybe after a lecture, or going to an office. But it's a great way of being able to chat to your lecturers in a more casual way, rather than if it's, I don't know, it's about the courses, about sort of careers, if it's about sort of things, they're there to give you the guidance, and they're very willing to as well. And that's what I very much appreciate about being at Heriot-Watt. And then, of course, there's also the perspective of the courses. The courses at Heriot-Watt are very structured in a very nice way, in my opinion, that you don't feel like you're ever overwhelmed or that you've got too much going on, which is sort of the thing I was worried about doing an MSc was it's going to be a lot of work. But I found that the way that the courses are structured here, they have structured them in a way that you never feel like you have too much work to do or too little to do. And it's never like, the sort of complexity is like a good balance, that you don't feel like you're spending your whole week doing your work for uni, and you actually have a good opportunity to have a nice like work-life balance, and you're not feel like you're like, oh, I've got another day, I've got all this uni work to do, but structured in a way that you can actually enjoy life whilst also studying at the same time, which is very appreciated. And as I said, I think Des and Michaela might have talked a little bit about the courseworks. There's lots of different ones, obviously, the midterms and the Python tests, but they're planned in the department so that you're never really overwhelmed with everything at once, which is quite nice. So you never feel like you've got midterm, that you're like overwhelmed and you're like, oh my God, I've got 4 midterms this week. They're all spread out nicely. It's the same with like if it's a more coursework based course, everything's quite spread out and you don't feel like you've got a lot of work to do at the same time, which is very nice. And it sort of might come across quite daunting at the start of the semester. For me and a lot of my friends, we thought, oh gosh, this is quite overwhelming. This is a lot to do. But as you progress through the semester, it's a very nicely structured thing. And then also, I just want to maybe touch a little bit on actually studying at the Edinburgh campus itself. There is so many services that the uni provides, such as the maths gym. I think Des might have talked a little bit about it, which is they offer drop-in sessions, I think, on a Wednesday afternoon when you're guaranteed to be free, where you can go in with any questions and there's guys there to help you, guide you through any problems you have, which is a very beneficial service they got. There's also the career service as well, which is very beneficial. I had to use, they have a very good service, which is their CV service, which helps you tailor your CV and make sure you've got a very good competitive CV for applying for jobs, or for like me, I'm applying to PhDs, so it's very beneficial in that way. And the campus is also very great. I love the Edinburgh campus. I can rave about it all the time. It's outside the city centre, or outside the city, just on the outskirts, and it's very green. So it's very chill and quite quiet. So it's actually very good if you're a stressy person like myself, because it's a very quiet and chill campus. So you can just do your work, and it kind of de-stresses you a little bit as well. And there's some very great study spaces. I love the Postgrad building; it's my favorite. And then the library is great as well. There is spaces in the actual maths building, well, next to the maths building, that are very great for studying as well. There's lots of different study spaces to suit everyone, because everyone has a different way of studying. So there's all sorts of spaces. And as I said, it's very easy to get to campus as well. That's one thing that kind of scared me in my first year going here. If you're ever worried about, if you live in the city, going to campus is very easy. I live on the other side of town and I cycle in or bus it in, and it's very easy to get to as well. And I think that's kind of all I wanted to talk about. So I'll pass it over to Gareth, I think.
I just wanted to thank Kyle for a review there. I think that gives a good picture of what life's like as a student on campus. We've had some questions in the chat about things like scholarships. I could direct people to simply search for Heriot-Watt Mathematics MSc, and that'll take you directly to the applications page for the Heriot-Watt Mathematics Master's courses. So there's details of the application procedure there, and there's also details of available scholarships for different nationalities. So I don't know if you were going to say something more about that yourself, Gareth.
Yeah, we have got Sarah on the call as well, which I'll touch upon in the Q&A in a moment. But Des, if it's okay, if we can just jump into the questions, because I think it's probably a good time to do that with
Please do. Yeah.
with the admissions types of questions. Now, there's been a lot of feedback on what kind of job can I expect from this. We've heard mathematics, we've heard actuary, we've heard various different things. What can a student expect when they're studying mathematics to go into? Because it is quite a broad subject area, isn't it?
We gave a list. We've had students do all sorts of things. So it's not just carrying on with academic study. We've had a lot of people go to work in the banking and insurance industry after doing the mathematics master's courses. We've had people go to work in firms like Leonardo in the defence industry in Edinburgh as well. We've had people who've gone to work for the National Health Service in different capacities, and also folk who've gone to work for local government, whether it's in the statistical department in local government or in other research areas as well. Michaela, the students you know, what sort of stuff have they done?
So perhaps I could add to the list. So there are some of our students that have gone into working for the government. But when you say work for the government, that's broad. For example, some of our students have gone into UKCEH, so the Center for Ecology and Hydrology, or maybe they worked for all sorts of ecological institutions, governmental and non. Some of our students, for example, are now working for Credit Nature, which is interested in, it's a startup interested in making sort of nature profitable. So they have really gone into all sorts of things that you wouldn't think of. But mathematics is true. So what I was saying, it's an exciting time to be an applied mathematician. It is truly everywhere, and more companies and government. This is a trend that has been going on for at least 20 years now, but they are hiring mathematicians more and more. There is, of course, the whole AI industry that is absorbing a very large number of mathematicians. And that, again, the AI industry is ubiquitous. It's used in any sector. So,
actually, I've got a cheeky question for Kyle. What are you thinking of doing whenever you graduate, Kyle? Or shouldn't I ask you yet?
So I do plan on doing my PhD. I've done some applications, but I'm actually going to be taking some time off to go do a bit of traveling first. So I live whilst I'm young.
You've
Because
had
I
enough of
realized,
all of this now.
yeah, as much as I love the campus, love Heriot, love studying, I do want to go and see the world a bit. And then when I get back, I'm going to continue applying for hopefully some PhDs in mathematical medicine. Hopefully it's kind of the area that I'm
Would it
going.
be mathematical biology or ecology that you'd be applying for?
Yeah. So I'm mostly quite interested in like cancer and stuff. So that's like the main sort of area. That's what I'm doing my dissertation in. So I'm quite interested in that. So that's kind of the area that I'm hoping to apply in. But that's when I come back from doing a bit of traveling. I think that's kind of the area that I'm
you deserve it after all that. Yeah.
I think Carl makes a great point now, and thank you for asking that. I think it's so important to forget that many students watching today might have been in education straight from being a teenager really, all the way through to the postgraduate master's degree. So actually, many students do take a break, don't they? They take a break, they come back refreshed, postmasters, and they go on and do their PhD or whatever it is. So, really good point, Carl. Des, question come in. What are the key differences between the MSc in mathematics and related other programs such as actuarial science, actuarial mathematics, data science, and all those related courses?
It's the emphasis of the different subjects and the different courses. So I think the applied mathematical sciences MSc tries to give a broad background in different areas of applied mathematics. Some of those other ones that you mentioned are concentrating on specific things, like the actuarial maths MScs. They're for actuaries who are studying actuarial mathematics.
Excellent. And to follow on from that, how big are the class sizes? Are there any opportunities for students to get involved in any research communities, seminars, conferences?
Oh, class sizes are small for these master's courses in
Yeah,
general. And yes, I mean, Michaela talked a little bit about this. Getting the MSc students
yeah.
involved in research and other things is an important part of the course as well. I don't know if Michaela wants to say something about that.
So in some sense, the MSc is it's not yet research. Of course, it's still a taught course. But again, as they said, teaching at the MSc level is research led. And so it's important. So, for example, in one of our projects, in first term projects, the students are asked to look at research papers. So not to do research themselves, but definitely to study research papers. And in general, they can access so many research facilities on campus that we do see our MSc students perusing around and seeing in seminars, for example, what research looks like. And many get interested, I mean, a considerable fraction gets interested in PhDs. So of course, some of them, they take the MSc already with the view, and then they may change their mind or not. But there is definitely plenty of opportunities to mingle with the research community.
Yeah,
Excellent.
so I think you can think of it as a bridge to research if you want it to be. Yeah.
Next question coming. It's a bit repetitive, but I'm going to try and get through them as much as I can, Michaela and Des. Would there be any possible pathways into any of the PG programs mentioned for a candidate who has graduated with a third class honours degree in mathematics?
So I can take this one. So scholarships for PhDs. Sorry, when you say postgraduate programs, you mean taught postgraduate or research like PhD or taught?
Yes, mainly taught, yes.
Okay, taught, then it's this.
With a third class, I think you might need some further background to carry on. It's usually a 2-2 as the bar for getting in to study master's courses or an equivalent on a foreign course. I don't know if Sarah has something
Yeah,
to
we
say
have got
on that.
Sarah on the call. It's probably more of a Sarah question, to be honest. Sarah, did you
Yep.
hear that? Are you okay to answer that one?
Yeah, hi everybody. So yeah, we are looking for a 2-2 minimum for entry onto these programs. We are not unfortunately able to accept a third class degree into our postgraduate programs at Heriot-Watt.
Okay, Sarah, while I've got you on the line quickly, a lot of people have been asking, is it free to apply? How do I apply? How easy is it to apply? Kyle, how did you find the process? What does a student need to do, and is it a free application stage?
I'll kick off. Applications are free. So you can apply through our website. It's really straightforward to apply. To get your initial kind of application looked at, all you need to supply us with is your transcripts and certificate. And then from there, we can kind of build on your conditions of your offer to include any other documentation that we require, such as passports or additional qualifications or CV, etc. So, yep, it's free to apply via our website, and every application will be reviewed within a maximum of 5-day turnaround time. So you'll have a decision pretty quickly for each program.
Fantastic. Kyle, how did you find the application process? Was it smooth, seamless, any
Yeah,
complications, or was it
it was
exactly
very,
what you expected?
exactly. It was very easy. It was just maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes filling out a couple of things that you need to do, uploading the documents, and then as I said, I think it was very quick turnaround. I think I got it within less than a week. I think I might have applied on the Monday and got something back on the Friday. So it was very
Brilliant.
quick and very easy.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, thank you, Carl. Another question that's come in is how much contact teaching time should we expect from the MSc course compared to undergraduate courses? Des, if I can start with you and then on
Well,
to Michaela. It's a great question.
I mentioned that briefly in the presentation at the start. You've typically got for each one of 4 courses in each of the 2 semesters about 4 hours of contact time per week, possibly slightly more, possibly slightly less. And then you'll get 1 or 2 hours of a one-to-one meeting with your project supervisor for the dissertation per week during the summer months whenever you're working on the dissertation in semester 3. Kyle, could I just ask you, of course you haven't started the project yet, what are you going to do for the dissertation stage of things?
The project I'm doing is it's the modeling and simulation of prostate cancer.
Okay, interesting. And have you set up the meetings and things for that
So
yet?
yes,
No, the
I've
talk
had my
course?
first meeting. Yeah, so my first meeting during the exams was just to
Ah,
go over sort of like the general sort of topic and sort of giving me a couple of options of where I might want to go. So I spent sort of the last week sort of having a couple of look through papers and stuff to just sort of refine
and
where
you'll be
exactly.
meeting roughly once a week with the
Yeah,
supervisor.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think next week, I think we're going to start from doing a weekly meeting and working on it from then.
Sounds interesting.
Fantastic. One final question from me, and we've touched upon it already, but I think it's really important to emphasize again. I think Carl's mentioned it, Des and Michaela have mentioned it also. Uh, they've worded it quite poorly, but is there people from all over the world here want to get to know other people? And I think one of the things that strikes me about Edinburgh, Heriot-Watt University, is just how international it is. Even though the class sizes are small,
Yeah.
you're going to have a lot of people from all over the world aren't you, Des?
Right. Can I give you some percentages here?
Yeah.
So I went away to check these before the webinar. There's almost 40% of the student body on the Edinburgh campus who are international students, which is a very high percentage for a UK university. I think the average in Scotland is 25, 26% roughly. And for the UK as a whole, it's a bit less than that. It's 20, 22%. So it's a very international university, even on the Edinburgh campus.
Must make for some great learning and education, though, because although the class sizes are small,
Yeah.
actually you're picking up different people's perspectives, aren't you? Even though numbers is universal,
Yeah.
everyone's got different perspectives of what works and what doesn't work. Kyle,
Yes.
can I just bring you in at this point? Do you see that as well? Obviously, not just in the learning itself, but outside of the classroom, around the campus, in the city. Very, very multicultural, isn't it?
Very much so, yeah. So a lot of our friend groups made up of lots of people from all over the world. So it's a great way of getting to know different cultures and also people from all sorts of backgrounds. It's a great campus for that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Des, Michaela, just a final word from you before we do go and we thank people for their time. Um, September 2026, we've already alluded to it already, is the next enrollment date. In terms of looking forward, September 27, if they do miss that deadline, is that what we're looking at now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Sarah can say something about timelines for applications in later years.
Yeah, so Sarah, if you can just outline the rough kind of timescale for students to apply for September 26th. Now, I know we're probably the best part of a month away, maybe from final deadlines. And then for September 27, when they can expect to start applying.
Yeah, absolutely. So deadlines for this coming September, you have until the end of July to pop your application in, but that would be at the latest. We would advise to do it as soon as possible. Even for those that are still waiting for any final results, we can add that as a condition for the completion of your degree as long as we have some transcripts to see how you're getting on to this point. We will still be able to make that offer for you for this September. We'll go on to then process visas thereafter, and then welcome week would begin on the 7th of September, and the start of the semester is the 14th of September. We're hoping to open up for September 2027 once the September 2026 applications have closed. So we're probably looking at August time for 2027, and also that works for any deferrals from 2026 to 2027 as well. You can also then defer your place by one intake as well.
Excellent, thank you. Des, there's been one final question, and I always promise students that if they put a question on, I will always try and deliver it. I'm from an aerospace background. I want a deep applied maths knowledge. I would like to know how flexible the applied maths MSc is. I want to specialize in aerodynamics. Is that an option?
There is some fluid dynamics courses there.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
So
So,
that's a possibility. Have a look at the application site it's got quite detailed course information for the different course options that you can take, just to see if it's for you.
Yeah, I think that's the key, isn't it? Just keep looking, keep scouring the website, have a look to see what you like. And if you're not sure, communicate. Speak to Des, speak to Michaela, speak
Yeah.
to anyone else
Stefan
in
as
the
well.
Stefan.
emergency.
So
Yeah,
if I could emphasize, so this sort of question, Stefan is very happy to have a one-to-one chat
yeah.
with applicants. So do contact Stefan Klus, who is the director of the MSc. And I think it's important for you to gauge whether this is the array of courses you need. So have a chat with him after you look at the website.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Communicate. Please do communicate with your students. You need to know as much information before coming to the UK if you are international as you can. And likewise, the academics and admissions team need to know a bit about you as well. So please do your very best to do your due diligence and find out as much information as possible. Des, Michaela, thank you for your time. Kyle, thank you for giving up your time also. Obviously, it's an hour out of your day. We really appreciate that. Thank you. Great to hear a student's perspective. And if anyone has any questions, please email us at webinars@postgradsolutions.com. We'll try and get back to you as quickly as possible. For now, thank you very much. Take care. Des, Michaela, Kyle, take care. Bye-bye.